We're going to start off with just a couple of quick announcements. We do still have our NCCT prep meetings going on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. If y'all would like to join, they are at that time. As always, live lab on Thursdays. We do have next week the Thanksgiving holidays coming up at the end of the week. So we will not have class on Thursday and Friday. No assignments due those days. I am going to be out of the office the entire week. I took a few vacation days since my daughter's going to be out of school. I will still be available via Teams message. So if you need me, reach out via Teams. I sent everyone an invite to that, to their Unitech emails to our Teams group. So if you need me next week, just shoot me a message on Teams and I will get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Let's see. And that's about it as far as holidays. Now, really awesome thing about Unitech and holidays for Christmas and New Year's, we actually will get out of class. Our last class will be December the 19th, I think, this year, around that time. And then we have a 2-week break and we come back to class in January around the 5th or 6th. It usually lines up around then. So 2-week holiday break coming up for Christmas and New Year's. Won't have school to think about. That'll be nice. And then we'll have a long weekend next weekend for Thanksgiving. So good stuff all around. All right. So today we are going to talk about, we're going to get a little bit deeper into some ICD-10 coding. You guys have been doing it for about a week and a half now, close to 2 weeks. And y'all are probably starting to see some things that you don't recognize, or you might be a little confused about in the way the curriculum describes it. So I've got a couple of slides that are going to help clarify something. The main thing I want to talk about today is placeholders. And I'm sure y'all have noticed when you're looking up codes that you find codes that have X's. There's an X in front of the code word. Sometimes it has a stop sign. Sometimes it has an X or something like that. And what we are talking about today is going to help to clarify that just a little bit. Those are called placeholders. Okay. And a placeholder is basically an ICD-10 code can go out to 7 places. And y'all will see that some of them are different links, right? They start out with like a letter, and then you may have 1 or 2 numbers and then a dot. And then as the code gets more specific, it gets longer, right? So sometimes the point of the placeholder, the point of the X being in there, is to leave room for medical advancement. When they formed the code for that particular thing, whatever it may be, they said later on, we may need to get more specific on this code. Something may develop that we may need to change in the future and need to get more specific. So they left it, they added X's to hold the place in case they need to add on to it later. All right. So my favorite example with placeholders is this one. We're going to work through a scenario, and I'm going to show you how the placeholders line up in the codes and how to put it in correctly. Okay. So little Johnny went to the doctor because he stuck a pea in his right ear. This was the second time he stuck something in his ear. So first of all, little Johnny got a mad mama, right? She had to take her kid to the doctor because he stuck a pea in his ear. Now, anytime we are talking about something stuck in the human body, it's called a foreign body. Something stuck inside of you is called a foreign body. It's a foreign object in your body. So that's thing one to note, is a foreign body. All right. So little Johnny has a foreign body, whatever it may be. It wouldn't matter if it was a marble, a pea, a jelly bean, whatever he stuck in his ear, his nose, wherever he stuck it, it's considered a foreign body. Okay. All right. And also, you're going to notice a red dot behind the code in the alphabetic index. If you look up foreign body, because that's where you're going to start when you're finding this code, you're going to look up foreign body. And the first one, you're going to see that red dot behind it. And what that means is that that's not the code. That's not the final code. It specifies down, and it may need a placeholder if it has that red dot. Okay. So you'll see that in the alphabetic index. Okay. So if you're following along with me and you have ICD-10 data pulled up, go ahead and search foreign body and see what it brings up. I'm going to go to the website in just a second, but I want to go through these slides first so y'all can kind of, once we get into ICD-10 data, you can see how it lines up there. All right, so the next slide. For codes less than 6 characters that require a 7th character, so they want it out to 7, right? A placeholder X is assigned for all characters less than 6. So it could be 6, it could be 5, it could be 4. And that'll determine how many X's you need in there, okay? So the way it goes, notice the X is in front of the code. In the tabular index, you verified in your alphabetic index, it brought you into your chapters, you're there, you're going to find the code, it's going to have an X in front of it. And that's going to let you know right then and there, this is going to require a placeholder or 2 or 3. Okay, it just depends on what code we're working on. All right, so foreign body in the tabular has an X in front of the code. All right, so the way it lines up, the way you write it out, is you have your code, your placeholders go in the middle, or if you don't have any additional indicators at the end, it'll be the end, okay? But most of the time, if you have a placeholder, you're going to have an additional indicator. And we will also look at what that looks like in just a second, okay? And additional indicators are just things that let you know more information. They're just things that give you more information. And the most common one is if something is like, let's say little Johnny. This is the second time that little Johnny has put something in his ear. So there's an indicator that tells us whether this is the first time he put something in his ear, or if this is the second time he's put it in his ear, or if he has put it in his ear more than twice. And that's called your the first time they do it is called your initial encounter. And that's usually like the indicators, usually I think an A, initial encounter. That's the first time they do something. Sequela. Is it sequela? Well, I'll show you a picture of it in a second. But it's initial, subsequent, and then sequela, excuse me. Additional, subsequent, meaning the second time. He did it once before. This is a subsequent time, a second time. And then sequela is this is a multiple thing going on with him. Okay. Now, where you find these additional indicators is in the tabular index at the beginning of that section in that chapter. You're going to be in a chapter, you'll be in a section. If you just look above wherever that code's listed, go to the beginning of that section, it'll have a little box that shows you those indicators. And we'll see what those look like in just a sec. All right, so for little Johnny and his foreign body stuck in the ear, the code that we come up with is T16.1. All right, and that's a foreign body in the ear. All right, or it might be in the right ear, is the 0.1. It might be 0.2 if it's the left ear, okay, or something like that. This code requires placeholders. So you see, it starts out at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. T16.1 is 4. We need 2 placeholders, X. So we're going to have 2 X's, and then the initial indicator on this one is going to be D, because this is not the first time he did it. This is the second time. So we're going to have to put subsequent, and the indicator for that is D. So our code is going to be first, and we know we have that indicator. So that's 4, 5. That means we need 2 X's in the middle. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? The way that lines up? Say the code was T16.12 and you still had that D. You would only need 1 X. Okay. Not 2. It depends on the number that's in the original code and if you have that indicator at the bottom. All right. Does that make sense? Any questions on placeholders, where they fit into the code? And something else I had one of y'all ask me this week. When there is a 0 at the end of a code, like say T16.10, does it matter if I put that 0? Yes, it matters. The difference could be T16.1 means one thing, has one definition, and T16.10 has a completely different definition or something else, okay? So the zeros on the ends matter very much, and so does capitalization. You will see in coding that we never use lowercase letters. If you enter that in, that's going to be marked wrong every time. Always capitalize. Make sure your decimal point is in the correct spot. You have your indicators or your placeholders and any indicators if they are necessary. Okay. And again, you'll find out if they're necessary in the tabular section. It'll tell you if it's necessary or not. Okay. All the information is there in the manual if you read. It is all there for you. All right. So in your everyday job, when you're doing billing and working on claims and things, the form that we use to file claims on is called a HCFA 1500 claim form. This is the bottom section, like the bottom half of that form. And it's usually in red and white, but I had to use a sample because these are not just a form that you can download. You have to purchase these. The billing companies and doctors' offices have to purchase this form, okay? So I'm using a sample here. This is the bottom half of it where the codes are input. Since we're getting into codes, I want to show you on the claim form. And some of y'all have been through this already when y'all were filling out the claim forms in the previous modules, but some of y'all have not, which is why I wanted to bring this up. And those of y'all that are new students and have not filled out those claim forms, you will get there when we wrap around. So don't stress out about it, okay? Let's see. All right, so your diagnosis codes, your ICD-10 codes are going to go in this box here. And like I said, it's about halfway down the form. The entire upper part of the form is for the patient's information, their name, their insurance information, all of that stuff, top half of the form. The bottom half of the form is the doctor's information and the claim information, okay? So, and it even says, number 21, diagnosis or nature of illness. All the diagnosis codes for this date of service are going to be listed here, and you see A, B, C, and it goes up to L. So that's 12 different codes you can put on one claim form. Okay, those are all listed there. All right. When we get to CPT coding, which is going to be in our next module that starts tomorrow, when we get to CPT coding, those go here on the individual line items. Okay. You can list different dates of service, different CPT codes for the same date of service on a claim form, up to 6 lines, okay? And your CPT codes are going to go here. CD, procedures, services, or supplies. And remember that CPT is current procedural terminology. Your HCPCS codes, which is actually the first thing you're going to learn in the next module. We do a short section on HCPCS because it's not used a lot. It is specifically for Medicare cases. So we do a short little intro on HCPCS, and then we move on to CPT pretty quickly. All right, but both of those codes are going to go here on your claim lines. All of your diagnosis, your ICD-10s are going to go up in box 21. Okay. And again, guys, something to keep in mind about this is that you're not going to be filling out these forms by hand. The software that you're going to be working in does it for you, just like in the previous modules. And now I know it made you fill out those forms in the previous module, some of it. And that's so you can learn where the information goes and how it looks. Because when you get in the job and the software does it for you, we're dealing with technology and that could go wrong, right? Technology has glitches. It may fill in the form incorrectly. So we have to be able to look at that form and say, this doesn't look right, right? So getting y'all to put that information into the form, that's the purpose of it, is to get you used to where the information goes, how it looks when the form is filled out, and things like that. Okay. Any questions about ICD-10 coding, diagnosis placeholders, anything about the chapter exercises that we're not understanding? Any questions at all y'all have for me right now? Let's see. Got the chat, so nothing coming through in there. I appreciate you ladies that joined me from work. Nothing? All right, guys. Well, that's about all I've got for you. This week, next week, we are not going to have a meeting. I emailed you about my health one. I will double check that. I'll answer you. If I haven't answered you already, I will double check that. Was that this morning? It had to have been this morning because I haven't answered emails this morning yet. All right. So just as a note in professional, my link did what? Not work. Yeah, nobody's linked work. Nobody's linked work. You have to follow the directions in the document. The links work there. But it did not work in the email like 2 days ago. And I didn't respond. That's odd. I'm sorry. I apologize for missing your email. My apologies for that, Akula. Sometimes things go crazy. Things go crazy. But I will go back and look for your email. But yeah, the links in the email did not work. If you open the Word document and follow those directions there, they do work, but we still do not have codes to give y'all, which I did talk about that in last week's meeting. About that we're still waiting on fresh codes to issue for Encoder. So I don't even suggest going that route at this point. Use ICD-10 data. I linked that to the homepage. At this point, that's your best route. I wouldn't even worry about One Healthcare ID or Encoder until we get fresh codes to give y'all. Because I tried to give out codes and they were, for whatever reason, they were expired or they came up with errors or this and that. So we got with the company and they're supposed to be issuing us a new batch, but we are still waiting on that. And we are peppering them daily with emails. So that's a waiting thing. But yeah, so there's your answer to that. I apologize that I did not email you back. I'm usually really good about getting back with people in at least 24 hours. 24 hours is usually that's the professional standard is, give somebody 24 hours to get back with you. And usually I try to stick pretty hardcore to that. My students, I try to get with y'all as soon as I can. If once I notice that y'all have reached out to me about something. But yeah, reach out on Teams, Akola. If you ever email me and I'm not answering you fast enough, reach out on Teams. Because if I'm not sitting at the computer, I don't see the email. And I don't sit at the computer all day. So emails can get missed real easy, but Teams goes right to my phone in case I'm in a meeting or doing something else. It does get busy, doesn't it, Curry? It really does. I appreciate the understanding and you meet me with some grace on that. It's been a rough week. My husband had like an emergency dental surgery yesterday, and it has been a hectic week. A hectic week. And then I'm trying to get ready to be off and not in the office and do things ahead of time for next week, and it's just been wild. And I know that kid's going to be home all week next week, and that's going to be wild too. So, but I hope you guys, since I won't see you next week, hope you guys have a very happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Blessings upon you guys and your families. And just, I hope it's a wonderful holiday. And I will see y'all week after. Right? Y'all have a good one. Thanks, Aquila. Happy Thanksgiving.